This is Business Week Armenia, CivilNet's weekly economic digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. A delegation from Google visited Armenia this week for first-of-their-kind talks with Armenia's high-tech industry minister to review potential business opportunities in the country. The meeting aimed to foster mutual cooperation and explore opportunities for collaboration, in particular in the field of artificial intelligence and cloud solutions, the ministry said in a press release. In addition, Minister Mkhitar Hayrapetyyan raised the issue of allowing Armenian creators to monetize their content on YouTube, as well as improving Google Maps' coverage of Armenia. "We see greater potential in terms of developing bilateral relations," the ministry's readout quoted Hayrapetyyan as saying. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said last November his administration would ensure that YouTube add Armenia to its list of monetized markets by the first quarter of this year. But as of now, Armenia remains excluded from YouTube's list of more than 100 countries where YouTube monetization is available. Monetization is already available in Azerbaijan and Georgia. There was no immediate comment from Google on the matter. Google's visit comes as Armenia's government continues to work to support the country's burgeoning tech sector, widely seen as its most dynamic and promising industry. As of now, there are more than 30,000 tech workers in the country of fewer than 3 million people, including thousands of Russians who relocated to Armenia after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Turnover in Armenia's tech sector reached nearly $1.6 billion last year, representing about 7% of the country's total gross domestic product. Prosecutors have still not charged anyone with a crime in connection with the collapse earlier this year of Armenia's state investment fund, even as investigators continue to work on the case. The local news outlet Fact Investigation Platform found this week. A number of individuals have been questioned and a number of evidentiary actions have been carried out, but at the moment, no criminal prosecution has been initiated against any individual. The investigation is ongoing, the Prosecutor General's office said in a written response to an inquiry by Fact Investigation Platform. The agency did not provide any additional information. The collapse of the Armenian National Interests Fund has left the government with costs of at least $3.1 million, according to cabinet documents reviewed by CivilNet's investigative reporting team. Reports of mismanagement at ANIF began spreading in January. Pressure on officials to take action escalated sharply in March when it was revealed that Fly Arna, Armenia's national airline and ANIF's flagship co-investment with the Emirati low-cost carrier Air Arabia, had come to the brink of financial collapse. By April, Armenia's investigative authorities had already opened a criminal probe into ANIF's dealings, and Pashinyan formally moved to dissolve the agency the following month. Over the course of its 6-year existence, ANIF used nearly $19 million in taxpayer money for investments in projects that ultimately stalled or failed. Aside from Fly Arna, that also includes the construction of a massive solar power plant which never got off the ground. Officials at Armenia's economy ministry have since scrambled to salvage that joint venture with Masdar, the Emirati state-owned renewable energy company. The negotiations remain ongoing, and as of now, the ultimate fate of that project remains unclear. Tigran Avinyan, who now serves as Yerevan's mayor, served as chairman of ANIF's board of directors for the majority of the agency's existence. Armenia is close to meeting the requirements to apply to leave the European Union's Aviation Blacklist, the head of the country's infrastructure ministry announced this week. Our European colleagues reported 41 deficiencies. 40 of those 41 deficiencies have now been eliminated. Minister Ganel Sanosyan was quoted as saying by the Armen Press state news agency. Sanosyan did not provide any additional details, including clarifying what had needed to be resolved or what remained outstanding. In the near future, Armenia plans to apply to the EU to conduct a new audit that it hopes will allow it to leave the bloc's aviation blacklist, Sanosyan added. In June 2020, Brussels added Armenia to a list of some 12 mostly developing countries, all of whose airlines are banned from operating regular flights to the EU due to their failure to meet international safety standards. The timeline for the EU to review Armenia's place on the blacklist was not immediately clear. In addition, Sanosyan said the government plans for Armenia to serve up to 10 million airline passengers every year, pending a planned major expansion at Zvartnots, the country's main international airport. The Luxembourg-based conglomerate that runs Zvartnots, Corporación America Airports, has indicated it is ready to commit up to $400 million to build a second terminal, but the Armenian government is seeking to lower the compounded annual rate of return that Corporación America Airports earns every year for its investments as a precondition to a deal, Deputy Prime Minister Maher Grigoryan revealed in May. Negotiations remain ongoing. The Armenian government granted the right to run Zvartnots to Corporación America Airports, which is the world's largest private airport operator and is ultimately controlled by the Argentine-Armenian billionaire Eduardo Ernequian in 2001. Zvartnots smashed its all-time passenger traffic record last year at more than 5.3 million people, representing a year-on-year increase of 46%. Observers say that is mainly due to the rerouting of traffic to and from Russia through Armenia following the imposition of international sanctions and other restrictions on Russia's aviation sector in response to the war in Ukraine. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.